Okay, I need to get this off my chest, not just the surface level stuff, but the real raw truth that's been eating at me. And honestly, I don't care if it sounds weird or desperate, because maybe, just maybe, someone out there is feeling exactly like I am. So here it goes. My name's Jake. Yeah, not my real name, but it doesn't matter. What matters is what I'm about to say. Look, I know people have this idea that guys only care about sex, like we're just walking urges, right? But that's not even close. It's so much more complicated than that for me. Of course I want sex, who does? But what I crave is passion. Not just any passion either. I'm talking about the kind of electricity that leaves you breathless, where each touch feels like new skin and every whisper makes your heart race. You know what I mean? I want to feel wanted, to feel desired, not just tolerated or pitied. That's the part people never talk about, the aching emptiness when you're lying next to someone who's there in body but already somewhere else in spirit. My wife and I, we love each other. We do. We've been together since college, met at a party neither of us wanted to go to, bonded over our mutual hatred for cheap vodka and bad music. She was wild back then, funny, sharp, a little reckless in the best way possible, and for years we were inseparable, but something happened along the way. The spark faded, the wildness got replaced by routine, bills, responsibilities, silence. I remember the first time I noticed it wasn't just a rough patch, Christmas 2 years ago. She handed me this perfectly wrapped gift, a book of poems she knew I'd love, and when I leaned in to kiss her, she turned away without even realizing it. That tiny moment, it felt like a punch to the gut. At first, I told myself it was stress from work or maybe she was tired from all the holiday chaos. But then weeks turned into months and it kept happening. Distant hugs, quick pecks on the cheek instead of real kisses, nights spent scrolling through her phone instead of talking or touching or anything. For a while I tried to ignore it, threw myself into work, into hobbies, anything to keep my mind off how lonely I was starting to feel in my own home. But the loneliness didn't go away. If anything, it got worse. Sometimes we'd have sex, if you could even call it that anymore. It became this awkward ritual, me asking, always feeling guilty for wanting, her sighing and saying okay, and then lying next to me like she was waiting for a root canal instead of sharing something intimate with her husband. God, that sounds pathetic when I say it out loud. Every time afterward, I'd lay there staring at the ceiling feeling emptier than before we started. Not because she's unattractive, she's still beautiful to me, but because she wasn't really there with me at all. One night after one of these encounters, which felt more like an obligation than anything else, I finally asked her point blank, "Are you still attracted to me?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stared at the wall for what felt like an eternity before finally saying quietly, "I'm just not interested in sex anymore, with anyone." She said it so matter-of-factly that I almost missed how final it sounded. I asked if she was okay, if she needed to see someone, if there was something wrong with me, if there was something wrong with us. She smiled, sadly, and told me she loved me and loved our life together, but sex just wasn't something she cared about now. It should have reassured me, but instead it made everything worse because suddenly I realized, this is it, this is my life now. But what really kills me isn't just the lack of sex. It's that missing feeling of being wanted by someone who knows you inside and out and still chooses you anyway. You know, those moments late at night when you're half awake and your mind goes places you wish it would. That's when my thoughts get really dark. I start imagining what it would be like to meet someone who actually wants me again, to have those long conversations about everything and nothing, to touch and laugh and explore all those fantasies you're too scared or embarrassed to admit out loud unless you trust them completely. And then comes the guilt, a tidal wave crashing over any hope of happiness because why should I want more? My wife is kind and funny and loyal. She takes care of me in every way except this one thing that feels so huge now that it's gone. I tried talking to friends about it once, just testing the waters, and their reactions were awkward as hell. Dude, all marriages get boring after a while. Or just be glad she hasn't left you. Great advice, right? So now I keep it bottled up instead. The worst part is how easy it would be to cheat, to look around for someone willing to give me what my wife can't or won't anymore. But every time I seriously consider it, my stomach turns inside out with guilt and shame because betrayal isn't who I am, or at least that's what I keep telling myself. But God. Some nights when she falls asleep next to me, fully clothed, arms crossed over her chest, all I can think about is running away with some stranger who looks at me like they actually see me, not just as another piece of furniture blending into the background noise of her life. I started lurking on Reddit forums, affairs especially, just reading stories from people who took the leap into infidelity or open relationships, or whatever they call it these days. At first it felt dirty, like sneaking into a club you don't belong in, but soon enough those stories started sounding less like horror tales, and more like escape plans written by people desperate not to drown in their own loneliness anymore. I never posted anything, not yet, but sometimes late at night I'd hover over the post button wondering if anyone would even bother replying to a guy like me. Hell, most posts from men get ignored unless they're offering up some wild drama, or money, or pictures nobody should ever post online anyway. And dating apps, forget about it. I'm not going down that road again after seeing how many bots and scams are out there waiting for suckers willing to pay for attention they'll never actually get. So here I am, stuck between loving a woman who says she loves me but doesn't want anything physical ever again, and craving something so basic it feels embarrassing even admitting out loud, to be wanted, desired, chosen again by someone who sees all of me and says yes anyway. Is that normal, or am I just being selfish? Some nights are worse than others, the ones where we go out with friends or family, and everyone assumes we're this perfect couple because we still laugh at each other's dumb jokes or finish each other's sentences sometimes. But they don't see what happens when we come home and go straight into separate routines like roommates instead of lovers. There are days when she'll brush against my arm while reaching for coffee mugs in the kitchen, and my whole body lights up with hope that maybe today will be different. Maybe today she'll look at me like she used to when we were younger and unstoppable together. But then reality sets back in. She takes her mug into another room without even noticing how desperate I am for even a scrap of attention from her. Every so often, after a couple glasses of wine on date night, if we even bother anymore, she'll let herself relax enough that things almost feel normal again. We'll talk about work or politics or favorite books or childhood memories, and sometimes she'll laugh so hard tears stream down her face, and in those moments, goddammit, do I love her all over again, so much that my chest aches with wanting things to work out somehow, wanting us both to find our way back across whatever invisible chasm opened up between us over all these years. But then bedtime comes around and everything snaps back into place. She changes into pajamas 3 sizes too big, brushes her teeth for 20 minutes, crawls under our heavy comforter with her back toward me while scrolling through Instagram reels until her eyes droop shut. Do you have any idea how humiliating it is begging your own wife for affection? One time, I remember this so clearly, it was our anniversary last year. We'd gone out for dinner, nothing fancy, but nice enough, and afterward we drove around town listening to old songs from when we first met. There was this moment where our favorite track came on, the one we used to dance around our crappy apartment kitchen singing at the top of our lungs, and for a split second, everything felt right again. So when we got home, heart pounding in my chest like some lovesick teenager, I leaned in and kissed her neck gently, the way she used to love, and whispered how much she meant to me, how grateful I was for all our years together. She smiled politely, thanked me for making dinner special, then rolled over onto her side facing away from me before falling asleep within minutes while I lay awake feeling more alone than ever before in my life. It was after that night when things really started slipping apart inside my head, a slow unraveling where every touch felt forced, every word rehearsed, every attempt at intimacy met with silence or half-hearted effort on her part, until eventually even trying started feeling pointless altogether. But here's what nobody tells you about slow-motion heartbreak. It doesn't happen all at once. It creeps up on you quietly, until one day you realize you can barely recognize yourself anymore underneath all the disappointment layered over years spent waiting for something that never comes back around no matter how hard you wish for it. Sometimes late at night, while pretending not to notice how distant she's become or how desperate I've gotten, I wonder if I'm crazy for holding on to hope this tightly when everyone else seems perfectly happy settling into lives full of polite indifference instead. Or maybe they're just better actors than I'll ever be. A few weeks ago, a random Tuesday, I found myself scrolling through Reddit's affair sub again, reading stories from strangers describing illicit rendezvous behind closed doors, secret hotel rooms filled with laughter and regret, shared between people who swore they'd never become those kinds of cheaters themselves. Their confessions were messy as hell, but honest in ways nobody dares talk about face to face. One guy swore he loved his wife but couldn't survive another year without feeling wanted by someone else. A woman confessed she'd fallen head over heels for a coworker after 10 years married to a man who treated her more like his sister than his lover. Another admitted he only stayed faithful because divorce seemed scarier than eternal loneliness. And reading their words made something inside me crack open, a mix of jealousy for their bravery and relief that I'm not totally broken after all. Because maybe it's not crazy wanting more, even if nobody admits out loud how badly they're starving beneath big smiles plastered on family Christmas cards year after year after year. Maybe I'm not alone, but then guilt grabs hold again, the same gnawing shame that's kept me silent since day one. How dare I complain when she's done nothing wrong, except lose interest in something everyone insists fades naturally anyway? How dare I betray her trust by chasing answers on anonymous forums instead of talking directly about what's killing us both slowly? How dare I risk blowing up everything we've built together chasing after some fleeting fantasy that might not exist outside movies or books or wishful thinking? How dare? And still, the ache lingers. You know what's wild? Even now, with everything laid bare, I still love her, still want her smile, her laugh, her stupid puns nobody else appreciates. Still want lazy Sunday mornings tangled up on the couch watching reruns. Still want all those little inside jokes only we understand. But God admit, do I miss being wanted, really wanted, in ways words can't quite reach. Some nights I'll lie awake replaying old memories. The first time we made love on a blanket under summer stars. The time we got caught skinny dipping by park rangers and couldn't stop laughing long enough to apologize properly. The way she'd sneak up behind me in grocery store aisles just to wrap her arms around my waist. And it's almost cruel how sharply those flashes burn inside now compared with cold reality shadowing every day since. At work I'll catch myself zoning out mid-meeting imagining some stranger's hand slipping into mine under restaurant tables, someone leaning in close whispering secrets meant only for us, someone biting their lip when they look at me because they can't help themselves. And every single day ends exactly the same. Wake up hopeful, go through motions, fall asleep aching, repeat, repeat, repeat. Sometimes she'll sense I'm off, ask if I'm okay in that gentle tone reserved for sick pets or lost children, and I'll tell her I'm fine because why burden her further with needs she'll never understand anymore. She deserves better than resentment. Right, but do I deserve better too? I don't know anymore. God, I miss wanting things without guilt attached. I miss earning desire instead of begging for scraps. I miss believing there's still magic left somewhere beneath routine's suffocating weight. But most days I settle for status quo because dreaming feels dangerous now. You ever feel trapped between gratitude and grief? It's exhausting pretending both can coexist forever. Sometimes I fantasize about starting over entirely, different city, different job, different name even. A fresh slate where nobody expects anything except honesty up front, where I could say exactly what I need without shame or pretense, where somebody might actually hear me instead of seeing just another checkbox ticked off on life's endless list. But running away isn't an option, not really. Because deep down I know no matter where I went these same questions would follow. Is anyone ever satisfied long-term? Do happy endings exist outside fairy tales? Is settling just another word for survival? Does wanting more make me selfish or simply human? I'm terrified I'll die having never truly been seen again by anyone, not even myself. You know what scares me most though? It's not being alone per se. It's staying invisible forever beside someone who's supposed to love every part of you, even those parts you're afraid might be unlovable. Every day I wonder if she's thinking similar thoughts herself, or if she's genuinely content trading firelight passion for comfortable predictability. Sometimes I envy her certainty. Other times I resent it so fiercely I'm embarrassed by my own bitterness. I'm haunted by this image, of us growing old together sitting side by side on our porch swing sipping tea watching sunsets fade across empty sky, never speaking aloud all the things we've both lost along the way. Never daring risk comfort for possibility again. Just drifting further apart, until eventually we're strangers bound only by shared history and memories too fragile to revisit without breaking completely. It's enough some nights just hearing her breathe beside me, proof I'm not totally untouchable yet, but always, always, always there's this ache simmering beneath every word left unsaid. What would happen if I finally let go? Some nights I'll draft messages I never send, to old flames wondering if sparks could reignite, to strangers online hoping they'll see past desperation into real longing below. The chat room's filled with voices seeking connection however fleeting. But shame stops me cold every single time. Because no matter how badly I want change, I'm terrified I'll destroy what's left instead. What if honesty ruins everything good we've managed keeping alive despite dying slowly inside? I keep reading advice columns filled with clinical detachment, schedule date nights, take couples yoga, talk openly, buy lingerie, do therapy, but none address core truth knowing holes through heart and soul alike. Sometimes love isn't enough once desires burned away leaving only ashes behind. Sometimes there's no getting back what slipped through fingers while pretending nothing changed. Sometimes you're left clinging desperately hoping one more compromise keeps loneliness at bay another season longer. And sometimes, quietly, you pray somebody somewhere understands exactly why letting go feels impossible and inevitable simultaneously. Even now as I write this, all these words tumbling out messily, I'm still no closer to answers than when pain first started eating away joy year after year after year. Is there anyone left brave enough admitting they want more, even when more means risking everything safe and known and comfortable? Or am I truly alone here forever? Night falls quiet outside window, as screen glows blue against trembling hands typing confessions nobody will likely read. She stirs beside me murmuring softly before rolling over clutching pillow tighter, a fortress built brick by brick against needs neither acknowledges aloud anymore. My phone buzzes quietly, a notification from some random subreddit reminding users, you're not alone. But isolation settles heavier than any reassurance strangers offer online ever could. I close laptop softly careful not waking sleeping beauty beside me, the woman I've loved fiercely and imperfectly since youth faded giving way responsibility. I watch moonlight catch silver strands threading hair once golden as summer wheat. I listen, heartbeat, steady rhythm, echoing years spent side by side, resisting change, refusing surrender. And silently I wonder, for 100,000th millionth time tonight, if maybe tomorrow brings miracle we've both forgotten believing possible. Or maybe tomorrow's just another day lost wishing we dared ask harder questions before silence became default answer forevermore. Dawn creeps slow across bedroom walls, painting shadows gold and gray alike. She wakes, eventually blinking sleep from eyes smiling, gently unaware, storm brewing inches away beneath calm veneer. We move through morning rituals, wordless choreography, practiced expertly decade after decade, until routine replaces intention entirely. And always, always, always ache lingers, hungry ghost, haunting footsteps everywhere we go together, apart, both neither. Is this normal, or simply inevitable fate awaiting everyone too scared, demanding more before it's too late?